Shame is the hidden epidemic, and we all have it. The challenge is, the less you admit it, the more it grows. The less you talk about it, the more it controls you. The more you share it, the more you go beyond it. It's ancient. As Shakespeare says, "When disgrace with fortune in men's eyes, I all alone beweep my outcast state, and trouble deaf heaven with my bootless cries, and look upon myself and curse my fate." What a shame. Shame is the gap between what you expect for yourself and what you actually are. And sometimes as we get older, our shame grows. Because remember in kindergarten, we were all going to be little geniuses. But somehow after high school, we realized we didn't make it. And I was going to be this, and I was going to be that. And so as we get older, we have these high expectations, and the gap between what we expect and what we are is called the shame gap. It's also called the grandiose self in psychoanalysis. As we get older, that's why we droop. Because all our dreams and wishes never came true, they're on us, to burden us down. Today I want to ask you to let your burdens go. Let your shame go. Beautiful painting by John Cox. This is the same person. He hits him once, and as he's coming down, he hits him again. Shame is S, self, H, hatred, aimed at me. It starts in early childhood. For example, the child sucking on the mother's breast. The telephone rings. The mother reaches for the phone. The breast comes out. For the mother, it's getting the phone. For the child, is somebody has rejected me. Somebody has abandoned me. And because kids are egocentric, they take their pain and make it their pain. The sad thing in our culture today with the young men, they call it being dissed. They're saying that the pain put on me, the gap what I expect, what society expects me to be, and what I actually am is so great. When you look at my girlfriend, when you take my drugs, you diss me again. And the shame I'm carrying is so heavy, when you add more shame, I then have to destroy you. And so shame is really at the background of a lot of our issues. How does it occur? On page 2, just follow me simply. When we're born into the world, after the best 9 months of our life, did you remember it? Weren't you happy? Just piped in water and piped in music. And the worst thing you ever did, come out. Umbilical cord was cut, and we're still walking around looking for a place to plug in. If you found a place, hold on to it, because places to plug in are dying. And then if that wasn't enough, they turn us upside down and spank us. And you wonder why we're ashamed? Okay. But as soon as we're born, we have 3 instinctual needs. Survival, security, you see that? Safety, affection, esteem, who's gonna love me, connection, and power and control, empowerment. A little power, remember? My doll baby, my room, my toy. And the only difference between men and boys is the price of their toys. So I guess there are very few adults. We're all children facing that gap between what I should have been or could have been and what I actually am. The issue there is trust. A kid wants to trust the world. Sadly, as kids are born today, because of the pain in our homes, they end up starting with mistrust. So they're starting on, as it were, one leg. But because life is wounded, hurt comes into our life. So some of us have been hurt in the survival security area. For example, both parents may be alcoholics, both parents died. Maybe there was a natural catastrophe like a hurricane, maybe a terrible divorce. And so you ended up feeling what? Abandonment. And then of course the affection, esteem, sometimes mothers and fathers favorite certain kids. Somewhat taller, somewhat handsomer, some are more academic, some are more spiritual, and we develop a kind of sense of rejection. Please be careful how you treat your children, because after you're dead and gone, they still remember how you favored Joey or Joe. Then of course humiliation. That comes how we speak to kids. It's amazing how terrible we are. Do you realize we're most angry at the people we love? One lady said, Dr. Allen, I've never thought of divorce. I have thought of murder. And the worst time in the Bahamas is around 6 o'clock, 6:30. You get home and, all through the day, hello, thank you, after you please, welcome to the Bahamas. But when they get home, you got your homework done, you cooked the food. One kid says, Dr. Allen, I have to run next door to get rid of the hurricane. And even though we're screaming and shouting, the phone rings, hello, we're fine, thank you, God bless you. See the church on Sunday, things are just wonderful. Johnny's getting 100 in school and George is so kind. And Johnny's standing in the corner thinking, if we're blessed, I'd hate to think of you cursed. It's amazing how we give the stranger more love and dump our shame on those we love. Have you thought of that? What are you going to bring when you go home today? When the kids say, wow, mom's coming home, how fun. Dad's coming home. Or will they hide under the bed or run next door till the hurricane dies down? And so if you add abandonment plus rejection plus humiliation, that equals shame. Got that? Now, shame is such a powerful phenomenon, it's invisible. You can't see shame, you see the faces of shame. For example, in the Bahamas, you can't see shame, but you see the murder. That means be shamed. You can't see shame, but you see the faces of shame. People are very angry, touch their car. You can't see shame, but intimate dysfunction. Couples are having a hard time making it. You can't see shame, but people being over-consumerized. You can't see shame, we just lack stability to each other. But shame is hidden, but the faces present itself. So what happens is, as soon as we feel shame in our heart, even from childhood, the brain develops another self in our image. Look at that self. For abandonment, the brain sort of says, become self-absorbed. Defend yourself with self-absorption. Be it to yourself. And then for rejection, find your own self-gratification. Do things that please you. And then finally, humiliation, use control. So the shameful self based on fear is our defense against shame, involving self-absorption, self-gratification, and control. Now here's the point. We all have a very powerful shame self, and we drift there automatically. We're all self-absorbed. We all want our thing, our gratification, and we all want to control. Everybody wants to control. The point is, can we move from our shameful self to our gracious self, our real self in love? To move to our gracious self requires meaningful psychotherapy, good seminars like today, to let go of fear and open to love. So instead of being self-absorbed, we reach out to others. Instead of being just self-gratification, we have empathic understanding or cooperation. Instead of having control, we have understanding or humility. The sad thing in our culture is that bad psychotherapy or bad theology or churchiology, instead of pushing us to our gracious self, is creating layers to increase the shameful self. People are getting more self-absorbed, people are getting more self-gratified, and people want more control. You could be in psychotherapy for 17 years. If you've not had good psychotherapy, instead of going to your gracious self, you've increased your shameful self. Now, how do you know a therapist who can take you from your shame self to your gracious self? Always ask a therapist, have they had therapy? And have they faced their own shame? If they haven't faced their own shame, don't go to them. Because they can't lead you to where they've never been. And if you go and spend all your money in therapy doing that, you're just putting layers around your full self. You'd be pretty happy, but very self-absorbed. Wouldn't want you to get married. And your self-gratification, and you have to have control. Then of course, if you want to go deeper spiritually, in my work I found there's a deeper self called a contemplative self, where you take yourself and you surrender to God, and so God becomes the love that runs your life, and you're controlled by the Spirit, His Spirit in you. So you have compassion, patience, and humility. In NASA right now, we're all living on shame, false self, and building layers around it. We're all getting very self-absorbed. We're all having our own self-gratification, and we're all trying to get control. Some of us have 7 keys to our house. 1 key to get into one door, 1 key to get into the living room, 1 key to get into the bathroom, and 1 to the bedroom. The other day, this lady got into the living room, but couldn't get to the bedroom or the bathroom because she lost the key. She couldn't get back out of the house. Do you follow that point? Yes, I know there's fear, but hear what I'm saying. We developed a shameful self based on fear, so it's all about self-absorbed, self-gratification, and self-control. Wouldn't it be nice for us to journey to become our gracious self, based on love and not fear? Now, if you look at your own life and you all have shame, just like me, you may want to see what is your schema. If you were hurt mostly in the abandonment area, then you have an abandonment shame schema. I gave you all the diagnosis that comes under that. If you were hurt in the rejection area, you have a rejection shame schema. And if you were hurt in the humiliation area, you have a humiliation shame schema. Now I'll tell you a secret. Rejection shame people like to marry humiliation shame people. They find them in the dark. You baby are the one for me. That is the most ridiculous, disgusting thing. Because the love on the top eventually comes the hurt on the bottom. And when the love goes to hurt, you wake up one morning and ask, how in the hell did I get here? I must have been crazy. No, baby, you married him and he married you. Before you get married, please get some help and ask what schema you have. Because if you don't, you're going to look for a humiliation schema or an abandonment schema. And that's going to be hell. That's why the divorce rate is 61%. And that's why it's a little better for second marriages. Gets worse for third marriages. Larry King just had his 7th divorce. Liz Taylor had 8. In fact, they said if you want a permanent job, be Liz Taylor's best man. I'm not joking. I've worked with people who've been married 7 times. And this lady, I said, man, I love you, but I'm praying you don't find another man. And she met me out town and Dog Gallo, stop praying. Because I'm not finding. What did you do with him? You had 7. Why don't you make the journey to your heart? Get rid of your shameful self. Open to your gracious self and move to your contemplative self. Oh, Doc, that sounds. But please don't find another man. You missed the point, but it's a real powerful point. Over the page, I list the principles of shame. I've done a lot of work on this, and this is so powerful when I see it. As I said, shame is the hidden epidemic. Ignore it, it gets worse. Don't talk about it, it grows. Talk about it, it dwindles. Shame always produces disconnection. And that leads to blaming, judging, labeling. And as a result, it's a source of shame, disconnection, but also results from shame. Disconnection from ourselves occurs when other people and messages overwhelm us and make us what they want us to be. In other words, shame makes us de-self ourselves. Let me just be with you. If you saw the film, when Phyllis, a really terrible cracker dick, said, I learned to sit with myself. What she is saying, all my life I've been de-selfed. I've been in my shameful self. And all of a sudden I learned that I could sit with me. And when I realized that, I didn't have to get married. I didn't have to rush out and get drugs. I learned to just be with me. It's all in you. But because of the shameful self, your self-absorption, your self-gratification, your control, you're all looking out there to get connected. And so if you look at shame, and it's like a continuum. It starts with fear, produces blame, produces judgment, produces disconnection. But if you work on your shameful self, as you move into your gracious self, you develop shame resilience. You start being empathic. You'll become more vulnerable. You become more authentic. You say what you think. You say what you mean. You become more compassionate. you become a connection person. How important it is in our country right now. We're living in our shameful self, and that's why we're very disconnected. Look at this shame addiction cycle. We've been hurt in our life. The hurt has shame thoughts. You know, you could have done better than that. The hurt has shame voices. They play sometimes 3 in the morning. You stupid person. How could you, why did you marry him? Are you crazy? Why did you marry her? Why did you take up that? And that those shame voices play so loud, so loud, so loud. I can tell you an example. He was in Fox Hill. We got him off crack. We even got him a job at Paradise Island. He was working there, but he couldn't believe he had a job. And guess what? They called me one day, Dr. Allen. One of the transponders, you know, the thing to go to bridge, is missing. He confessed, Doc, I stole the transponder. I said, why? He said, I always wanted one of them. Do you have a car? No. Do you have a truck? No. I'm like, why you thief the transponder? Doc, I felt like I always wanted one of them. And so he got fired. He's back in Fox Hill on crack. Shame equaling shame. Did you get that? It produces the repetition compulsion. We just repeat the same old, same old, same old, same thing happening in politics. God help us. And we're dying. And nobody's doing a darn thing about it because our shame is blocking us from seeing the truth. Please rise up. Let's come together. Look what they did with the teenagers. That's only one family group. Suppose we had one there, and one in Baintown, and one in Carmichael, and one in Fox Hill. We could revolutionize the Bahamas in 3 years. It can be done. We got results to show it. When we sit back and think the election and the rallies are fantastic, that's not where the power is. The power is in this room. If we desire to do something about it, we can change. And then look at the shame whip. Please leave your shame whips here. You know that thing you're ashamed about? Maybe that divorce, maybe that affair, maybe you have a little sexual disorientation. Very common. Coming down the pike. Sexuality is a continuum. Do what you do. 40% will be gay anyway. Kill if you want, but that's the truth. You may have a little bit in you. It's all right. I love beautiful things. I got a little bit in me. I know that. It's all right. I'm ashamed of what I didn't want used to be. Why are you being homophobic? How come that? I have a friend called Guy Satirian. He knows I was homophobic. Oh, no, David, I love I go, oh, and I just freak out. Why? So we have this shame that we just beat ourselves. You could stay home at night with your loneliness and beat yourself to death. Please leave your shame whip here. Yes, you messed up, but you messed up long before you messed up, you know. You just didn't know it, you're just aware of it. Leave the shame whip here. And if that wasn't enough, that shame whip becomes a shame cross. But once you hate yourself enough, that's the vertical, you then feel what? Nobody likes you. Because when you fail or mess up, you project the shame around you. And all of a sudden, it produces projective identification. So I don't like myself, and I look at her, she didn't smile at me. Mind she and her husband, they had a fight this morning. She ain't checking for me. Oh, she does not like me. Oh, and she's reading on paper. She doesn't like me. They're not checking for me. But I'm running around thinking, people don't like me, right? So I hate myself, nobody likes me, and where the vertical crosses horizontal is the shame destructive point. And I'm finished. I may be alive, but I'm dead. Dead and walking. Dead and walking. Living your limitations, but dead to your potential. Never awoken to who you really are. Working a job way beyond who you are. Never following your dreams. The grave is filled with so many books which could have blessed the harmless. So many dances that could have been danced. So many songs that could have been sung. But they're now buried. And they're gone. Just waiting for your breath to stop. Let me take a second, secret. No one getting out here alive. So when I go with a buying man, instead of a little woman, he's gone. And you remember some people when they're dying, you know, some people are crying for sadness, some crying for joy. This woman's husband died last year. man said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. Your husband said, sorry? Free at last? Free at last? Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. So in the Bahamas, not everybody crying for sadness, you know. Some crying for joy, but they all crying, baby. And then, of course, the sad thing is that shame fills our perception. This is so important. When shame fills your perception, you don't see things as they are. You see things as your shame is. Can I say that again? Shame takes over your eyesight. So your external reality is your internal shame imposed on it. So instead of seeing a beautiful person in front of you who's there for you, you say, oh, she doesn't like me. In actual fact, she may like you. But because you have the shame eyeglasses, you don't see things as they are. You see things as you are. And so many of us walk by the beauty that comes our way every day and say, nothing's happening to me. You see, nothing's happening to me. I have a lady usually calls me and somebody got dead. David, so-and-so died. I said, yes, say people do die. And when nobody's dead, you don't call me. No, please, this is heavy. We're living like this. Almost with the other one. David, it's Thursday. I haven't had a crisis all week. Aren't you glad? Can I give you a couple? I got 10. It's almost, we need a crisis. We need a problem. But hold on long enough. It's coming. And you hold your breath, it'll soon be over. And then, of course, it moves into a powerful loneliness. Shame and loneliness go together. The loneliness eats you. As the guy said, you think my girlfriend's ugly. You should see loneliness walking beside me. Loneliness is very scary. But it's only a feeling. It's a shame feeling. Confront it. I know a lady told me once she was so scared of loneliness, she decided one Friday night, no parties, so she said, I'm going to meet Mr. Lonely. She got ready, put on perfume and stuff, going nowhere. And she opened the door and said, come in, Mr. Loneliness, and sit right beside me. Come on, give me all you got. Make me lonely. After 5, that's all you got. Oh, come on, get worse. That's all you... Finally, she said, you couldn't do anything to me. It's a feeling. I didn't feel lonely. So he got up, took him to the door and said, get the hell out of here. Don't ever come back. And she said he's never been back. That's true, because it's all in your head and between your ears. That's right. You're lonely because you had someone you know what to do with them. It's easier to focus on being lonely. That's easier. And if you left that, you may have to meet somebody, and that's panic. And then, of course, the shame emotion, and that leads to shame behavior. But notice it plays again. So shame is a cycle that plays in our heart round and round and beats at a particular frequency. And every time we hear a trigger to our shame, whether it's a divorce or an affair or something you did wrong you're ashamed about, the trigger makes the shame be a little louder and it beats a little heavier. But it plays in our life, from the beginning to our life to our death. Now, what are some of the symptoms of shame? I gave you a little mnemonic. S, it always produces silence, secrecy, separation, and of course sadness and suffering. H, it produces self-hatred, humiliation, negativity, and hiding. People are ashamed, they live in hiding. And then A, all the A's line up. Abandonment leads to anxiety, leads to anger, leads to ambivalence, leads to alienation, and sometimes leads to addiction. And of course, M, it produces masochistic behavior. You do things to hurt yourself. Dr. Major talked about kids cutting. They feel depressed, they cut, they don't feel the pain inside. Well, the same with us. We do things, sometimes pick fights with our husbands or lovers, because we're feeling ashamed or lonely. Masochistic behavior, very, very powerful. We become self-destructive, we get abused by time, abuse others. But the worst is learned helplessness. I can't do anything. I just can't do anything. Guess what? Then you really can't do anything. And you never will do anything because you've now become learned helplessness. Remember the experiment, the frog in London? They put the frog in hot water and jumped right out. They put the frog in warm water and just heated it gradually. The frog just stayed there relaxed. and die, as the Word of God promised. Shame puts us in a learned helplessness, and we just go at our own height of our own mediocrity, saying what I can do, and eventually you can't, and you die long before you're dead. Thank God when the breath stops, you really are dead. Peace. Then E, it produces emptiness. Emptiness, longing, loneliness, depression, limitations rather than our potential. Then across the page, I've done a lot of work with people who've murdered, and I'm talking with them to understand how this happens. There's always a hurt experience. The two feelings in our heart is either on one hand love, or on the other hand shame, hurt, and fear. Do you have that diagram, the circle diagram? You see hurt experience? Usually if you follow your hurt experience around, the grief that gets sad if you're hurt, you can move to forgiveness and surrender. But what happens is we cross over to shame and we get resentment. Resentment means re again and sentir to feel. Two Latin words. You have to what? Feel it over and over again. So when you see her in the mall, you have to come out of the mall. She comes to the church, you have to leave the church. So when you resent someone, you're giving your control to them. And then guess what? Eventually, resentment continues after years, and you get to become what? Bitter. Bitter. Everything is negative. It's a beautiful day, but it's too hot. She's pretty, but she's a little fat. She's nice, but people are dressed, it's never fit. The party's nice, but this is too loud. Food is good, but it's never seasoned. They could brighten up a room just by leaving it. Thank God she's gone. They will give you indigestion. They kill people just by looking at them because you can't take it anymore. And the next time you see them coming, you run. Remember the Christmas party? Do you think you're dressed for the occasion? Oh my God. Did I make you angry? And you Christian smile. And you say, look, we're in a cathedral. And you have to go in the bathroom because it's going to be a fight. But they will smile at you and say, oh, have you gained a few pounds? Oh, Christian love. Get away from me. Get away from me. Because you shamed me, and guess what? If you do that again, I'm going to punch you. So that's why punching out takes place at church parties sometimes. Because people in their velvet harpoons come and say, hey darling, you look nice. Have you gained a few? And the night is over. And sometimes you don't pick it up then. You get home and you say, you know what she said to me? She said I was fat. It's 1 o'clock, you haven't slept yet. 2 o'clock. But because you're your same full self and self-absorbed and self-kind you see the next day, hi, you're feeling good night. You lie. You're pissed and you're angry. Life is painful, but I want to tell you, life is beautiful, and the Bahamas is a beautiful place. Have you seen the beauty recently? Have you seen the beauty in a baby's face? The baby doesn't have any shame for self, they're just pure. And sometime when God connects to you, the little baby fixes his eyes on you. That happened to me a couple nights ago. I went to speak at this place. We went that little baby with little black eyes. And her eyes were just on me. And I couldn't get away. And she wouldn't let me go. And I thought, what have I done? What have I done? Obviously my shame. And they said, I know something you don't know. Because they said babies know more than we think they know. Because when you were being born in the womb, the angel touches on top of this. Shh. Don't tell them what you know. Don't tell them. Please, stupid. They ignorant. So we all have this little indentation on the lip. But the truth is, the baby knows much more than we know. And someone has said that babies had guns, we'll all be dead. But then what happens? It becomes a grudge. Please hear me. When the grudge happens, you start to hate that person. Everybody who's murdered said they came to a point when they just couldn't stand that person. And when you do that, something bad can happen. You can get possessed. In Washington, we call it negative energy. I'm back to Bahamas now. I said the guy has the devil in him. I don't call it. I'm coming to my son and said, yes, right back to my mother. The guy's the devil. You stay around the grudge and your anger, the devil will come and get you. Genesis 4:6. God said to Cain, you're angry, and it's an evil spirit outside your heart waiting to have you. King Saul is a great king. David killed Goliath. But when the ladies came and said, Saul has killed his thousands, David has killed his tens of thousands. Saul got so angry, it says an evil spirit came into his heart, and the rest of his life he tried to kill David. Ephesians 4:26. Do not let the sun sit on your anger or shame in order not to give the devil a foothold. Let me speak clearly to you. None of the murders have happened. They can tell me about something, a grudge their family carried by their father or their grandparents. Without dealing with it, it was just passed on. Grudges are passed on like big noses or intelligence. Unless you stop your grudge today, you're going to pass it on and spread it around to somebody else. But they may not have the grooming you had. Your kid may not have the support you had. And so when they get angry, they move right around that circle, get to the grudge, get possessed, and they enter the evil, violent tunnel. One guy was beating a girlfriend. I said, why you did it? Doc, I couldn't stop. Like something possessed me. And I wanted her to feel what I was feeling. I said, what were you feeling? I don't know. Notice that. And it's amazing how this phenomenon. So when you find yourself angry, try not to cross over to your shame. Go back and do the grieving, face the forgiveness, and to surrender. Now what I did was I made a little diagram to look at some aspects of shame and psychotherapy, because I think it's really something we need to talk about. I wouldn't talk long about it. But psychotherapy must be a safe place with stability, consistency, and predictability. Einstein said a problem occurring at one level of consciousness cannot be solved at the same level. What he's saying is this: if you got divorced, if you haven't done anything to increase your level of awareness, you're going to repeat the same problem. If you made a mistake in your life, if you haven't improved your consciousness, you're just going to do the repetition compulsion. Welcome to the bonds. We do the same thing over and over and over and over again. The point is, we're not increasing our awareness or consciousness. Carl Jung, think of this. The psychological rule says that when an inner situation is not made conscious, an inner conflict or situation not made conscious, it happens outside as fate. Can I say that in simple language? Carl Jung says, out external, don't worry about that. When you have an inner conflict, if you refuse to work on the inner conflict, watch out, it will come outside of you as fate. Do you realize if you're carrying a hurt in your heart, you're going to dump that out on your kid? You may have gotten by, but the kid will get destroyed. It's called the doo-doo theory. The grandparents doo-doo on the parents, the parents doo-doo on the kids, and the kids doo-doo on their kids, and some kids have so much doo-doo around them, they don't know what to do. So the point today is, look, come home to yourself, face yourself, deal with your stuff. There's no shame to have a problem. It's a great shame not to do something about it. Goals of psychotherapy: emotional honesty, establish boundaries, compassion, nurture internal sense of acceptance. Tell your personal story. Your personal story is so beautiful. There's no two stories alike. Your story is special. Have you ever told your story to someone? Well, please be careful when you tell it. Pray. Where there's a student, God will provide a teacher. Where there's a patient, God will provide a therapist. Pray about it, but make sure you get a chance to tell your story. Hope and gratitude reflect well-being. Honoring faith and intuition. Recognizing that AA says, my life is unmanageable and I need power greater than me. Hold on to joy and laughter. Laughter is spiritual. Really. And they say ladies can't tell jokes anymore. I don't know. Then tell me a joke. Okay. People are not funny anymore. But life is a laughter. If love is a dream, marriage is the alarm clock. This older couple, they were forgetting. She said, now, write down everything, write down everything. So one night they were singing in the parlor. She said, I fancy a scoop of ice cream. I'll get it, darling. Now write it down. Don't be stupid. You think I forget a scoop of vanilla ice cream? We're not that bad, Dawn. He came back 1 hour later, scrambled eggs. And she said, darling, you forgot the bacon. We both forgot about ice cream. Anyway, Dr. Christie, you're not there yet. But it's important how laughter can help us to transcend our shame. Collect jokes, write jokes, practice jokes. Another one beautiful is New York cab driver. Driving down New York, he saw this nun. He picked her up. Oh, he said, sister, you're the most beautiful nun I've ever seen in my life. You're so beautiful. But he said, I shouldn't think of you like that because I'm Catholic and, St. Patrick is far away. And he said, sister, I shouldn't say this, sister. I'd like to give you a kiss. He said, oh, that's fine. Just pull the curtain, the cab to the side. And he did. And child, they kissed. And they kissed, he didn't want to let go. Then after he said, oh my God, sister, why did you make me do it? That's a mortal sin. Oh, I'm going to confess. Sister said, don't worry. My name is Kevin. And I'm going to a Halloween party dressed as a nun. He said, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. Laughter transcends. I'm sorry. Kids were the kids. I needed therapy after that. Some aspects of shame in therapy again. Create a safe place. Observe the presence of parents. Shame people usually are very cautious. They're hunched over, they're shy, and they avoid eye contact. Follow the counter-transference feelings. These are the feelings that you have in yourself. Transference is the feeling the patient has toward you. Counter-transference is the feelings you have toward the patient. If you find a patient making you angry, it means they're shaming you. If you find that you're getting aggressive, be careful, slow down, Andy. Don't storm the boundaries. Go quietly. Try not to shame or shame person, they may just shoot you. If you feel uncomfortable, it means the shame person will be shaming you. And the shame person can project their shame in you and make you feel inadequate. And when you hear that they missed their appointment, you say, Allison, thank you. You're glad they didn't show. Flappy, hello. They make you feel helpless. They make you feel like a failure. Sometimes they say, really, are you worth the money I'm paying you? And you go, all the mother's voices, they're not good enough. Well, yes, I am worth it. But you're scared and you're helpless. They are amazing. Shame persons can really push you to the wall. Sometimes they make you sick. You start throwing up. Excuse me, I come to go to the bathroom. And you try to stay in the bathroom. Tell the hospital. You tell the secretary, don't charge me for the session. This is heavy. And then relieved that the patient is not showing up. Or sometimes you're late for the sessions. And sometimes you're over-compassionate and you want to rescue them. And when you rescue them, they get angry and get more distant. And they disappoint you, you get upset. But it's amazing how these counter-transference feelings are very powerful and make therapists run away from working with shame-based persons. But because shame is so ubiquitous, if you learn to run from shame-based persons, you can't be a good therapist. Now, what are some of the transference feelings that shame-based people have toward their therapists? They cling. They cling. Oh, what's up, Bob? They're outside the house at night sometimes. You're giving a lecture. They're sitting in the front seat. And he gave beautiful lectures in Washington, this church, Fort Press, and their shame front row sitting right there. Hello, Dr. Allen. Another guy, I'm on vacation. David, the church is closed. I said, well, I don't do my class in the summer. How could the church go on holiday? Well, I don't. Transference, all right? And then you want to please them. And sometimes they're really angry at you. They come at you and say, you look like, I don't know, why are you doing that? Just like my mother, stupid person you are. And you start shaking. Or they just look at you. Piercing. And you try to, you start sweating it. And they just look at you. And they know they got you. And you start. I had one lady, she worked at the White House, powerful lady. And it was Christmas. And I knew that we were getting at her shame. And I knew I was going to expect something, but I was surprised she showed up with a nice Christmas gift, the size of a shoebox. And I said, wow, I'm getting somewhere. to the end of the session, she says, I have a gift for you, Dr. Allen. I said, thank you very much. Do you mind if I open it now? When I opened it, guess what it was? A box full of horse dung. She said, you're full of it. We cracked her shame, and yeah, she had kept it. But you had a therapist, you sit there and say, thank you so much. But you know, the Bahamas never look so beautiful. Why am I? But hey, it's heavy. When you work with shame, you gotta have your act together. They can really, she's a genius. And she wants me to open that, and I have to say, thank you for the gift.
What happened to her?
Oh, she got that. She got that.
She got that.
Yeah.
Did she ever send you the real
I'm still hurt though.
Right.
But I'm back home.
Did she ever send the real gift?
Huh?
Did she ever send the real gift?
That was the real gift. They idealize you. They think you're greater than God. Then they have paradoxical responses. You give a compliment, but they get an angry outburst. Or they do bizarre behavior. Never shame a person experiencing shame. And follow their shame triggers. Shame triggers are sex. It's always a shame one for all of us. We had sex in the wrong place with the wrong person at the wrong time. It's always a trigger. Withdrawal is a trigger. Why is she not talking to me? Anger is always a trigger. Attacks, some people just attack you. I don't like you. Who do you think you are? You know, just because you're from Canada. The world is made people like you. Yeah, you have everything going here. And you get very friendly. And nothing good happens to me at all. Everything, look, you got a nice wife and children, and you seem happy. Why should you be happy and I'm not happy? And you start saying, well, I don't know. You start doubting yourself. And they are so powerful, they come right at you. You have to be human without over-revealing your personal stuff. Be careful revealing your personal stuff because they will take it and throw it back at you. As you said when you messed up, you remember? And you thought you were sharing, you invite them in. Be careful, they will take your personal stuff, reinterpret it, and throw it back at you. Always be empathic, which means being vulnerable, keep a perspective, withhold judgment, try not to judge, recognize the emotions, and keep the communication. And then finally, critical awareness. It means people sometimes feel they deserve shame and they want you to reinforce it. You have to demystify shame by increasing information. Let's talk more about that affair you have. Yeah, wow, and you were the only one who did affair? You really? Oh, you aren't? Oh, man, other people too. You demystify the shame. As opposed to, you did that? Oh my God. And now you become a mother. And all hell's gonna break loose. You get it. And then, this is just me, individualizing. Open up to the big picture, you know? What happened maybe just a month, but tomorrow you may not even remember it. That's right. Because life is not longitudinal. Life is secular. You may have a bad day today, but guess what? You may just have a wonderful day tomorrow. Okay? But they want you to see life as longitudinal. Be careful of apologizing. Don't use ever the word crazy. Don't let it slip out. If it ever slips out, you're gone. You're gone. He called me crazy. I'm gonna sue you. Like one of my colleagues at Harvard, this guy came in and said, you know, I want to kill myself. My life is so messed up. And he had this theory called do nothing therapy. He said, you know, if I were you, I agree. I'd kill myself too. He said, don't you say that to me. I have a right to kill myself, not you. I'm going to report you and sue you. Yeah? Be very careful what you say to shame-based people, because they will get you. You take the self-hatred they have, put it on you. The repetition compulsion. Shame leads always to the repetition compulsion, no matter how hard it is. A young man choosing a lady who leaves him, he meets another girl who leaves him again, and it goes on and on and on. I added a story. This is today. I go there periodically and have seminars like this, and I speak through an interpreter. And in this particular night, I talked about the shame and how the different institutional needs we have and the hurts we have. And apparently this lady, Maria, was known as the bitch of the hospital. She was there. And she's in the front seat. And she was angry. And I said, someone had death. And I noticed she got sad. Then afterwards I said, Maria, you seem sad as I spoke. Yeah. My mother died of cancer when I was 7. Oh, I said, well, did you cry? You must have been sad. Don't talk about it. So I said, well, I used to stop and watch the crucifix on the church next door. And I cried for Jesus. Who was she crying for? Well, I said, Maria, can you write a letter from little Maria, age 7, to Maria now, and tell her what happened? Next day, I can't do it. Next day, I can't do it. Third day, she came with a letter. But before she came with the letter, she drew. She said, the only way I could do it, I was on the 5th floor of a hotel, me, and little Maria, 7, was on the ground. And she wrote, Dear Maria, I'm so sorry. It's your mother. You can't say and I love you. She couldn't do anymore. She pushed it in my hand. She said, I can't do it. Well, the last night of my lecture, I don't know what happened, but when I finished, a little 7-year-old girl called Maria ran up to me, into my arms. And I said, to my interpreter, how old are you? She said, 7. I said, Maria, can I meet you? I said, come here. And I said, Maria, this is Maria, age 7. She started screaming. I thought he was going to scream. What happened? What do you think happened? She saw herself at 7. And to realize that that's how I was when my mother died. Oh, God. And I saw her. She went outside and was looking inside the door and she wouldn't come in. I said, Maria, come, please. This is your time. This is your time to heal the pain. And finally she came in. Usually, I love the Italians. They grab you and they bring you, the mamas, like the baba, the baba. And they brought Maria. And she said, Maria, hold Maria, 7. You touch that. And then she grabbed her. And she just screamed as the whole group just sat and watched. As she screamed. Until she cried right there and held Maria. And she said, I always loved you, but I didn't know how to share it with you. It's so sad we had to lose our mothers. And life was so hard. I'm angry at everybody. They call me a bitch. Don't be a bitch. I'm soft. The good news is Maria changed. She went back to the hospital, apologized to everybody in the neighborhood physician. So next year, the front row was filled with Maria's friends. They all said, we want the same thing to happen to us that happened to Maria. I said, I'm not that good. Thank you so much.